I can tell it's getting a bit cooler in South Africa, Sarah. War.
It is.
And just so you know, with Sarah, she's our executive secretary. So she's our support. So you've got your own private secretary, okay? And you're looking at her right now, Sarah. So she's paid for by the company to look after all me, the other directors, VA, and also the most important people of all, our sales team. Okay, so obviously we're a technical company, although we've removed 99% of the burden of technology from you. But having your backdrop up is the most important thing, because it allows people in conversation to scan your QR and add your details to their phone. So it's always important to, actually, I'm looking over my left shoulder now to my QR here, and I'll point out to people, hi Graham, it's lovely to meet you. Bloody bell, would you mind adding my details to your phone, please? And he will pick up his phone, you will see him do it, and he will scan it. You go, oh, and then you can show him, you say, right, at the bottom it says, add me to your phone. Okay, add me to your phone. Ah, right, that's good. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to add your details to my CRM, please. So you're all going to have your own CRM. We're going to set it up for you if we haven't done already. Sarah will oversee that. And your contact form on your e-card puts the details of the person you're talking to directly into your CRM. So there's going to be a lot more training on how to use it in the future. But for us, from a sales perspective, it's wonderful to place to find people that you've spoken to in the past, but also financially track what's going through your account, potential business, actual business, real business. So you can really get excited about the deals that you're putting down, because you're going to track them inside your CRM. And the other nice thing about CRMs is that we can help you with that. We can support you. We can look into your CRM, exactly the same as your email, and make sure that everything's working for you and you're happy, you're happy using it, because we know how tough it is out there in the marketplace not to use technology. Our job as a company is we help people with technology, basic technology, to run their business, and without technical people. Okay, so the most technical people we've got in our company are VAs, and they are capable of creating and reproducing all the technology that we need within our business. So you don't have to worry about it. Your job is keeping it simple and selling it. All right, that's your job. But it's also a business, and there is a certain element of discipline that's required for the business. Always, always, always have your backdrops up. Always, always, always point people to your QR here, which takes them to your e-card. And then obviously from your e-card, they can add their details to your phone, and they can add their details directly into your CRM. And that's really cool. But it makes no difference really whether you're on a face-to-face call like this, a virtual call, or whether you're on an actual call. So people who do a lot of networking, it's probably true to say they lose most of their leads because they're disorganized. They take business cards, they put it on a spreadsheet somewhere, or they won't, or it goes in the drawer, or it goes in the bin. There's no follow-up, there's no discipline. Okay, with our systems, whether it's from the QR from here on the backdrop, or whether it's off your clothing, digital, which is what you're going to be selling to start with, then the technology is designed for any phone in the world to scan or to touch and grab the data for the future. So first things first, are all happy up to speed with our email systems on Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're happy with that?
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's like
Yeah.
very nice.
It, it's top of the range. You know, we pay for it, and the reason for that is because we want to sell it to other people as well. Why not? If we got the VA skills, people can say, "Oh, I'm really fed up." You'll hear it. You'll hear problems when you're talking to people when you get to know them. We're really fed up with our booking system. Or we're fed up with our email, or we can't control. You know, we can't block people easily. You know, or we get so many emails a day that we're inundated and we can't cope with them. Well, there's a reason for that, and that's almost certainly they're either using a free email system, or in fact they don't understand the email system that they're using. So we can help people with that. We can take them. Titan's nothing to do with Maltix. It's just a great idea. We can help them set up their email on a professional platform on their own domain name, take control in the way that we do. So that's really working for you, because although Maltix is run, it is run by email, but it's not necessarily the technology that we recommend, but it's just the way that I had to set up the company. So everything that we do is done through our email system. Okay, so we will be talking about the simplicity of Phygital today and your understanding of it. Larry's are doing a fantastic job creating new generic QR frames. I don't know if you've seen them on the app. I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on them, but they're improving. They're putting sports ones on today. We should have, I think, 30 or 45 new ones on very soon. Everything from cricket to basketball to soccer, to, you name it, it should be on. So, in my mind, and you tell me what you think, how difficult is it to pick up the phone and talk to somebody who's in a senior position and do that through Maltix Connect? How difficult is it to set up meetings with people in a senior position, talk to them about the idea of having merchandise that connects to people's telephones? Because essentially that's all it is. And it might well be a really simple conversation based on safety. It could be because of in case of emergency that triggers your conversation with them. It could be that they may already have digital, but it's on subscription. And here's something that makes us so different to every other company in the world. Our digital merchandise, our system is not based on subscription. It's based on a one-off cost, setup cost. So once that transaction goes through, Larry's takes over. They provide the artwork, the joined up technology that then the client can take to the printer and get printed. Now, we've only got one printer at the moment who's got this ability, Kent Workwear. In fact, I was talking with them earlier on today. They've just resolved one of the small issues was that ICE is a tag that fits on the bottom of your jumper or your shirt or whatever. In case of emergency, it's about, I don't know, about an inch long, 25, 30 millimeters long. And they're actually going to sew them on. So they've got a company in the UK that's going to sew them on, double stitch them. So until now.
Excuse me, like, well, I just wanted to ask, like, what kind of emergency are we talking about, like here? Like,
yeah, okay, that's a really good question, because I put some videos together for you. Okay, they're on the app. I'll send you the links in a minute. So in case of emergency, could be a child playing football, cricket, falls down, twists their ankle, gets hit by a cricket ball. You know, there's 1,000 scenarios, and you could say, well, yeah, but mum and dad might be watching the game. Well, mum and dad might be watching the game. They're probably not. They've probably gone shopping or something.
Yeah, most of the people in Asia like are busy doing their own stuff, like and most of the children are playing with the team and like they are with the coaches and stuff. Like not most of them are.
I agree with you. I think that parents are very good at spotting the opportunity to leave their kids and do something else, you know. But of course, what happens then is that if you're on a football pitch or you're on a cricket pitch, the child hasn't got their phone with them. Problem number one. Problem number two is that even if you could get access to their phone, which is probably in a locker back in the sports hall, how do you log onto it? You've got a visual or a passcode to get onto it. They might be incapacitated. They might be incapacitated. They might not be able to, you know. And by the time you run back to the sports hall, or if you're playing away, it's possible. You can't get the child's phone. So the idea is that you can scan that in case of emergency. It only scans, by the way. It doesn't. We don't put a QR on there. We could do, but it's not on the program yet. So if you've got a client who wants both, then we can discuss that. But ICE is basically the same technology used to pay for food in the supermarket.
NFC.
Yeah, NFC. You hold it within 6 inches, and it goes bang straight on the phone. So ICE is. So what happens is that the garment is shipped, the ICE tag is connected, then the parent or the guardian or the coach, whoever's taking responsibility, then ensures that the child's or that adult's information is correct on the ICE. Okay, so if it's an adult, they do it themselves. So typically, it could be their blood group. That's simple, isn't it? It could be their blood group. It could be their age, their next of kin, their second next of kin in an emergency. You know, it could be an allergy. It could be reactionary problems to particular drugs. That kind of thing could go on there. In fact, you could put a lot more on there. You can link off to medical records and all sorts. But I think for most people, you know, it's a great place to find stuff immediately and simply, and that's for a first aider or the coach. You know, something else that was pointed out to me today.
Yeah, also in boxing, I think it would be a great help if they put it on the shorts. For the boxing.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah,
like mixed martial arts and stuff. Like if they do it there. Because they're quite prone to injuries like this sport. I myself like do mixed martial arts, so like I feel like it's quite like for people who start like for the first 2 years they're sustaining, they're suffering injuries like from like punches and stuff like.
Yeah, but you know, if you think about an older person, not necessarily that old, you know, I'm in the mid-60s, but you know, if I go for a walk, I could fall down. Or I could trip over something and twist my ankle. I could be up a hill somewhere, or you know. But the idea of this is that it works anywhere. So you can be on a cruise ship and it works. You can be up a mountain and it works. And the NFC can also be, if the client wants, it can be separate. So for example, if I was wearing a suit, I would probably want an NFC for my different suit every day. Take the NFC out, put it in my suit. So that works as well. So, but the main garment's got the QR, that's belt and braces, we say in England. You know, that's making sure that whatever the scenario, whatever the phone, whatever the weather conditions, whatever the scenario, then that should work every time. Here's another thing for children. evidently children are very good at losing their clothes in school. Very good, especially sports clothes. They forget to take it home or they leave it behind in the locker room. So another really easy way to go through a pile of children's clothes that have been left behind and find out exactly who they belong to. It's just a simple thing, but that's another, another nice reason to have ICE, because it can all be scammed. Yeah. So, have you got any other questions about the e-card? You've seen your own e-card in action. Obviously, when you're explaining it to somebody, yes, it does this functionality, it's got that functionality, but most people aren't particularly concerned about what it does. But what it can do, it can give you, so if you've got a small business, for example, it can give you a quick introduction to the business. If it was a football club, the video can be changed every week. You could have last week's game or the highlights from last week's game. You can have, if it's sports, you can have a link off to the program where they're playing, the itinerary, who they're playing, all that kind of stuff. That's all perfectly possible from an e-card. Also, we can put in their booking link. So if they, if it's being shared and people want to book for the next game or an event, that booking link can be put on the e-card as well. That means that when you change the event, everybody's e-cards will all change at the same time. So that's really cool. So this week you're playing here, next week you're playing there. You can have a league tables on there that are live. Anything that's really important for that sport can be on that one single page without overdoing it, obviously. If you put too much information on there, it is too much. But every single part of the e-card can be managed by the client themselves or by Larry's VA. So, that's you've got no concerns about service with this product. It's fully serviced, and they can simply purchase more time if it's required from the shop, from the off the Larry's app. There's a shop on there, Clerical, for buying more time. It's £15 an hour. So that's dead simple to do. And whenever you're on a call and you're not sure about anything and you need something quickly, like a link, that's what your WhatsApp is there to do. It's designed for you to be talking to somebody, help, I need help, and Sarah and I or somebody will be there to get the information that you require. And then if you ever in a scenario where you're feeling overwhelmed, sometimes that can happen if you've got very detailed people on a call. Very often you'll have, because people think that they can't speak to anybody unless they're technology partners with them. Anybody like that, reschedule them to speak to me, okay, or or Rich, or anybody else in the program, because one thing's for sure is that our technology is next generation phone technology, and an awful lot of technology out there is still based on websites. And websites on phones don't work, although people claim they do, but actually they don't. Our technology is absolutely brilliant on the phone, as you've already experienced. So yeah, from a digital point of view, have you got any other questions?
No, well, not now. Maybe I'll go through and maybe later.
Precious?
I think I'm okay for now. If I have questions, I'll let you know.
Okay. I think the most important thing about all of this is to keep it simple when you're talking to people. Maltix Connect on Monday it's so important that you're on those calls and never miss them, because networking is about you. It's about your ability to be found, to be liked, so people know you, they like you, they understand you, and they trust you, and they recommend you. And it's not just you, it's you recommending them to other people. So you might come across somebody, well, you will, no question about it, within Maltix Connect, and you've set up a call with them, you've spoken to them, irrelevant whether you do any business or not, because they're probably going to explain to you what they do, and then you can recommend their services to other people as well. It's not just about me. It's about you. It's about helping other people generate business for themselves. Maltix Connect is fundamentally core to your networking, and it should be, or could be, for the rest of your life. It's that important, building your own network. So that's cool, but also you've got a brilliant opportunity to just pick up the phone. And eventually what's going to happen is that all this kind of information of how many calls you've made and who you've spoken to and how it's gone, that should all be recorded inside your CRM. So you should be keeping records. I spoke to Graham Smith on this day. We spoke about this. I've agreed to book a meeting with him again in 2 weeks' time. Put it into your diary. It's booked. And then when business comes in, you can say, right, I've spoken to him about digital. He is interested. He's going to talk to his company. He's going to come back to us with questions, blah, blah, in 2 weeks' time. Okay, so that's in the CRM. The CRM would tell you that you've got a task. It'll tell you in the mornings you're talking to Graham Smith today. But also much more importantly for me, because it's such a brilliant system, your booking diary system on your Titan is critical for making sure that you make those calls. And the nice thing about it is that the event link is always on there. You've got a permanent link on there. If you book directly into the calendar, you can add a Google Meet link in there, or if you prefer Zoom. I'm increasingly, I prefer Google, but it's up to you whether you use Zoom or Google. But personally, I pay £20 a month or something for my professional Google account. It records everything. It's as good as Zoom, if not better. You don't have to use stupid logins and codes and stuff. You just click the link and you're straight in, like we did on this call today. So if you've got an idea, a pattern in your mind of imaginary conversations that you're going to have with people on the phone, and have you set out in your mind your targets every day for phoning people or setting up meetings on Maltix Connect?
Yeah, I think like I also have have contacts here in India, like I do that sports fraternity here, and like also like small clubs. I was doing martial arts. I was like my acquaintances are like connected with like sports like cricket and stuff. So maybe I can connect to them. I can get mutual people to connect to, and maybe like get in touch with them, like do some like connections, like maybe like get some numbers to call.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And think
So
about,
basically I know someone who knows someone. So like it's
yeah,
like
they
that.
do. But also think about the quality of the person that you're talking to, the person who can make a decision. Think about the coaches.
Yeah.
Think of people who are senior. Think about people who are in charge of a group of sports or an association. And the other thing that we want to be able to help you with is to provide demo merchandise.
What I can do is like, well, that I can I'm quite like connected to the boxing community, like which is growing up in India. Like you see like lots of mixed martial arts and boxing in Mumbai, Delhi, and Hyderabad, Kolkata, like big cities. Also
Oh,
like small cities, like it's like they're doing like uh, sparring sessions, like they're like multi schools. So like all of the city, like they come to spar, they come to like for
fast.
tournaments, they organize tournaments. So basically I'm connected to these guys. Like I also have ambition in like to help this sport grow, and like I'm quite well connected to like also like if I get this thing attached with that thing, I think like maybe we can work something out
Yeah.
slowly.
So as well, I think from an Asian perspective, it'd be very, very useful to have another merchandise company that
Yeah,
we.
because I think I'm sorry, but I think because people in cities like metro cities, like metropolitan,
Yeah.
big cities, they're like quite adept with the technology, with QR and NFC and all these stuff. So the parents, which are like now, which like the parents like
Yeah.
just 10 years elder than us, like 45 or 40. So they know how to use technology. They're quite like
So,
accustomed to it, and maybe they can understand the values behind it.
but
Also the coaches, the club owners and people like that, like
yeah.
and we can pitch it to them.
I was also thinking of the actual merchandise providers. We need a merchandise provider in India that
Yeah,
we
I
can.
think it will be better. You can get it cheaper and like get it for very like cheaper,
Exactly. Yeah.
and like it would be quite accessible. Logistics would be quite easy.
Yeah.
So
When you take a step back from this, you're making money from the sale. That's the most important thing. The
yeah,
VA is making money. Okay, the company makes a little bit of money, but we're building our database of trust for our higher product future. Now, the actual merchandise provider, we don't make any money from. You know, we can help them with the NFC and the products that they require. We can ship that to them, or they can buy it themselves. But the important thing is that we've got a merchandise provider in your country. So that's something I'd like you to target, to look for somebody who's got a website where people can buy a whole huge variety of
yeah.
sports.
I have my friends who are brands who are like doing what designers and stuff. So
Cool,
like
cool,
yeah, I have friends who are doing this stuff. So it won't be that hard for me to like
brilliant.
get connected to these people. Yeah,
Because all that happens then is Larry's just hand over the link to that printer wherever it is. If it's in Delhi, or wherever.
yeah, yeah.
All the donkey work has already been created. You've been paid, the VA's been paid. Now we hand it over to the merchandise
Yeah.
operator. The merchandise operator, we're going to have information that goes out with each package, which links back to the sales team. All right. So what's going to happen is that every item that's sold will have a card in there, and it might be the shape of a shirt, with a QR on it, and NFC and a video explainer in the middle and ice at the bottom. So it'll be literally cut out like a shirt, probably something like that. But it'll be beautifully printed, and the idea is that if it's if it's beautifully printed, and maybe there's a bit of a guarantee in there as well about the future. But when they scan it, it goes straight through to the sales team. That's what we require. So, because what we do know is that coaches talk to coaches, tennis coaches talk to football coaches, boxing coaches talk to judo coaches, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They're in that environment, and when they see something that's beautiful, say, do you know what? Where'd you get that from? Oh, well, I know. I'll send you their information. So yeah, I mean that's pretty important. Okay. We're obviously going to be discussing lots of techniques moving forward into the future. Charlie and I have got between us 80 years experience of sales. We used to be involved heavily with timeshare and fractional sales. So we were extremely versed with meeting a stranger and then taking £25,000 off them 5 or 6 hours later. That's what we did. That was our job. You know, we did it day in, day out. But there's an awful lot of techniques in sales. We're putting together some like training videos, like cartoon style videos, just to highlight certain aspects of what we know and what we've learned over the years.
Amazing.
So anything that we can do to help you. NLP is quite important.
Yeah.
Listening skills. You know, you got two of these for really good reason. Always listen more than you talk. Always ask questions, ask soft questions, ask people to talk about themselves, because people will always talk about themselves. They're not really particularly interested in you, and eventually it comes round to the product or the service that you require. Ask them what problems they've got. Ask them about scenarios they like to avoid. You know, you can imagine any sports coach wants to avoid an injury on the field. There cannot be one who doesn't accept that. That's an in. And again, you can say, well, you know, I'm really interested in, but let's talk about your sports club. I've got something to talk to you about in a minute, but I'm really interested in learn more and more and more and more about them, their business, their view of the world. And that's perfect for building rapport to then give them a solution, because all you are, your doctors and your own doctor of surgery. You're just listening to what the problems are and you're giving them a solution. That's what this is all about. And it's particularly true in networking. With networking, you've got to...
Williams, sorry, I have to cut you off.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, are we going to be sourcing or generating our contacts from our country, or it's going to be provided by the company?
I think that you should be working in the United Kingdom and the United States, because I do. I'll tell you for why, or in Europe, or any Commonwealth country that speaks English, any Commonwealth. So, you know, Canada, New Zealand and Australia, the other side of the world. But the reason I'm saying this is that £149, which isn't a lot of money, I know, but it's much more affordable in the UK than it is in Zimbabwe, for example. Yeah, so you're more likely to get a sale in England than you are, I think, than we are selling into South Africa at the moment. I mean, we can set up shops and stuff for the South African market in the future and the Asian market as well. You know, we can do it in rupees. We can have the whole thing India-centric. But at the moment, I think, you know, use those wonderful English skills that you've got in England. If you've got English telephone numbers,
Yeah, I do.
you do, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then use it.
Okay.
And you know, it's we've got a telephone system. It's called Circle Loop, and that can be used on your mobile as an app from any country, and that records the calls inside your CRM in the future. But you know, moving forward, if that's something you want, then we can talk about, you know, how that works. But if you've got a UK-based number, use it, because people are much more likely to answer the call if it's got a prefix in the United Kingdom or United States on the front.
Yeah.
You'll find that the Americans particularly will never pick up from a foreign call. They just never will. If it's not routed from the US, they won't pick up the phone.
Okay.
It's just the way they are. But we can overcome these things in the future. We can have a US exchange telephone number, a UK, you know, or whatever the countries you want to work in. But I would think that this has to be based on your lifestyle. This is, you know, I won't imagine any of you working 8 hours a day doing this. you can do, make a lot of money. But I would imagine you won't. I'd imagine that you're going to be clever with your time, that you'll have your diary set up to suit your lifestyle, and you'll put bookings in and focus on a group of bookings over a particular period of time in the week. So let's just say you have sales calls on a Thursday, every Thursday between X and Y, and that you'll only take bookings at this time. You manage it, because what you don't want is taking a call at 9 o'clock in the morning and then taking another call at 9 o'clock at night. You need to manage that time, and you can do that perfectly through your Titan calendar and through your CRM. We're going to be having training on CRM. I've got a funny feeling it might start this Monday. We've got a guy from Capsule that's going to take us through it. But remember, when you've got your own Capsule CRM, you've got their support directly. So you can ask questions. They might seem stupid questions. It makes no difference. They're there to support you, to make sure that you're using the system properly for your little business. And that's important to all of us, because as we move forward, the amount of calls that you make, the amount of business that you do, and your success within Maltix Connect are all tied up together. And if there's anything you need support with to do better, to make more money, we're there to help you. But we will be obviously reviewing every part of the technology that we share with you to make sure that you are using it in a way that's successful for you, that we can then share to other salespeople as well. And these calls in the future, as we grow, I always say this call today is a compulsory call. Please try never to miss this call, because it's our weekly get together. It's where we share good practice, where we share success, and where we forge our finances moving forward. It's really, really important. Talking about finances, I think, Precious, you've got a debit card, haven't you already? I've created one for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Right, so I need to create another one. Right, let me do that. I'll make a note of that. Okay, so what happens is an electronic debit card. It's no different to being British and traveling to your country, for example. It will work anywhere because it's a British debit card. But the way you do this is you raise an invoice on Wise or Stripe or PayPal. You copy that to accounts, and then you actually take the money directly off your debit card onto your invoice. So you're in control of your own payments. Pretty cool. It's pretty unusual as well, but we do everything we can to make sure we keep our costs as low as possible, so we stay competitive in the marketplace. Any questions at any time, ask them in our WhatsApp group. I don't care how stupid they are. It makes no difference to me. I had a really experienced person today who should have known better, asking really stupid questions. And that's great, because that makes us human. That's what this is all about. We're all learning together. And obviously, as you grow, get to know each other better, share your insights, share your stories. Always be looking for stories and how you tell a story to create the trust that's required for the sale, and increasingly you can use real stories. You can say about this particular school that's adopted this technology, or this sports club, because you've been involved in it.
Well, I'm really sorry, but I need to leave for somewhere.
Yeah,
so guys, if I can, I prefer I would suggest that we can do this quite often, alternate days, or in twice a week, so that it's better that we are connected and we talk about things in details, and we also improve our product and knowledge, both the things.
Well, certainly this meeting will happen every week, that is for sure. But you can call meetings at any time. You can call a meeting at any time and say, right, I've got this problem. I need to talk
Yeah.
about this, and then you just book it in the calendar, and you invite the other salespeople in as well. So we
Great, man. Great.
all know what's going on. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. So that we are connected and we are in the loop. And that's what I meant. Yeah, because I need to leave, and it's
Yeah, sure. No.
I'm really sorry. Yeah, I wish you guys to have a really nice evening.
We're going to make
And-
sure you've got your e-card, your backdrop, and your CRM set up, and then on the call.
Sure, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. It was nice, really nice.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
Bye.
Bye, Sarah.